possibility of possible denial. Understand that you can use another form of identification, such as a passport, a global entry card, a military ID, and such. If you need to know where you can find that full list of appropriate IDs, you can go to tsa.gov/realid. TSA will not extend the May 7th deadline. Please note, TSA will not extend the May 7th deadline requirement in order to travel with the Real ID. TSA also requests that passengers get to the airport early. We're looking at, of course, a summer rush coming up, and with the observance and understanding that at this point in time, Alabama is one of the lowest in the nation for Real ID compliance. So do understand right now we are at 69% non-compliant passengers. Knowing that, we will possibly have delays at the airport when you get to the airport. So we're requesting individuals to do note and do come to the airport early. I'd like to turn over the microphone to Trooper for the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. Sir.
No, it's okay. All right, you guys ready? All right, first up, my name is Reginald King. My name is Corporal Reginald King. The spelling is R-E-G-I-N-A-L. There is no D. Last name King, common spelling K-I-N-G. I am the Assistant Recruiting Public Affairs Coordinator for the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. All right, everybody clear on that? All right, I cover Troop C, which is Central Alabama, which encompasses the following counties. This Tuscaloosa, Bibb, Pickens Green, Sumter, Dallas, Perry, Marengo, Hale, and Wilcox counties. All right. Starting May 7th begins the enforcement period for those individuals that have not obtained a STAR ID. We're encouraging them to visit at least one of our 75 exam offices throughout the state of Alabama. We think that it's very important for everyone to know that there is 188 driver's license offices throughout the state. However, only 75 of those are ALEA examining offices. So we're encouraging everyone to visit our website at alea.gov. That's ALEA.gov. Look for the tab that says driver's license location map. Click on that tab, locate the office that's nearest to you. All right. Once you arrive at these facilities, there very well may be a line. However, we're asking that everyone exercise courtesy and tact, as our driver's license examiners are working diligently to accommodate those individuals that have appointments and those that are being considered as walk-ins. We think that it's very important for everyone to know that although May 7th is the enforcement date, individuals can still obtain a STAR ID after the May 7th deadline. Now, for those individuals that do not have plans to fly domestically in the very near future, it may be a good idea to allow those individuals that have flights coming up in the near future to utilize that time period to make sure that they are accommodated properly. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Forgive me, I'm from Michigan. So if you need to get a real ID, do you go to the DMV office, or do you go to the ALEA office, or are they one and the same?
All right, the question is, if you need a real ID, do you need to visit a DMV or an ALEA office? All right, once again, there are 188 driver's license offices throughout the state of Alabama. However, only 75 of those offices are ALEA examining offices, which actually issue the STAR ID. If you go to our website, there's going to be a map. There's going to be a gold star located in those areas where you can obtain those IDs. Where you can obtain those STAR IDs.
And given that people tend to procrastinate, we're hearing about long lines. Are you guys going to have extended hours, the open late,
Currently, right now, we're not operating on extended hours. That's why we're encouraging everyone to exercise patience and courtesy as our driver's license examiners are working diligently to take care of those individuals that have been proactive, made those appointments, but we're also doing our best to accommodate those that come in as walk-ins.
And for those folks who have been waiting in lines, is there anything that you guys are doing to help speed up the lines? And then, is there like a cutoff? Like if they're in line, are they good to get your ID, or is it like you get a point, sorry, you gotta come back today? Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I'm following you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, we're encouraging everyone to go to our website once again, which is ALEA.gov. There's an online guide. It provides you with all the information that you need to know, and the documents that you need to have present when you arrive at the DL office, such as a proper form of your ID. I mean, such as a Social Security card, a certified birth certificate, and 2 forms of your current address.
So if you're in line, you're practically guaranteed to get your real ID that day? Or if you have everything that you need, like if you're in line, are you like in a regular club?
Well, once again, we are not operating on extended hours, so we would encourage everyone to just be prepared for longer wait times.
Thank you.
Is that the only, is the store ID the only driver's license that are doing now? I mean,
Just to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, is your question, is the Star ID the only form of driver's license that's issued from here moving forward? It is not. The Star ID is not mandatory. However, we're recommending that everyone take advantage, grab the Star ID while you can. There's no extra cost associated with it. We would rather an individual to have the Star ID and not need it rather than to need it and not have it. Everyone doesn't, the truth of the matter is everyone does not lug around a passport. If you have that passport, that is a form of a real ID, so you're good to go. But for those individuals that do not have a passport, a Star ID would really be beneficial to them.
so if you get pulled over, do you show the trooper your real ID, or do you show them your Alabama driver's license?
Okay, I see. Okay.
I'm kind of confused, like in the
No, please understand. Okay, the Alabama driver's license, the Star ID is an extra layer of security. It's simply a gold star that's going to be in the top corner of the driver's license. So it is your driver's license. Does that make sense?
Could you share with us what documents you need to present with your waiting list?
Once again, you're gonna need 2 proof of your current residences. You're gonna need your Social Security card and a certified birth certificate. It's not limited to those documents. If you visit our website, there's a complete list that the individuals will have to choose from.
This might be a question from this course, but
I'll answer you guys' questions right after this.
Okay.
Yeah, if you got TSA questions or whatever, I'll answer it after this. Yeah.
Okay.
So, just because it has a Star ID on the driver's license, you're still going to get checked.
Correct. That is correct. Are there any more questions? All right, well, hey, once again, we want to thank TSA. We want to thank the Birmingham Shuttlesworth Airport for partnering with us to share this information. Thank you for your time. All right.
So I'm going to go ahead and take questions for TSA, and then Sari's going to come over with some travel tips and whatnot.
How does this play out real life? Like, they said that you come in to the ticket counter, I know the first thing they ask me is usually for my ID. I've got a passport. But, so are the ticket agents going to be the ones who are going to have to tell the passengers, oh, I don't have a Star ID or passport, sorry, I can't issue the ticket? Like,
Our operation plan for TSA moving forward, and this is for all of the airports within the state of Alabama. When you approach the airline counter and the airline representatives, more often than not, will be your first touch point. At that touch point, they may or may not tell you you have a real ID or you do not have a compliant ID. Okay, that should be your first touch point. After that, if maybe they're too busy and they're not able to vet that at that point, you will be coming to a queue line, kind of like your Disney lanes that you come into here. You will find a representative for TSA at the beginning of that queue line. At the beginning of the queue line, that individual is going to stop you. If you are with a family, they're going to stop the entire group. They're going to request your ID at that point. When they have your ID in hand, they're going to see, is it a compliant ID, passport, real ID itself? They're looking for their star, or they're looking for the identifier that is on the driver's license. Sometimes the identifier, if you have an out-of-state driver's license, will not be the same. Maybe it's a black star other than a gold star. So depending on the state, they have different identifiers. If you pass through that requirement, you're going to continue on through security. If you do not, you are going to be routed to a different queue line. When you're in that different queue line, you'll encounter a different process to go through at that point. That's when your wait will be established. You will encounter a longer wait and delay. You might be subject to enhanced security and enhanced screening, or at that point in time, if we cannot verify you at that point, you'll be turned around to either rebook or denied entry into the checkpoint.
So if you show up at the ticket counter and you have, the star ID or the passport, you're good to go. If you don't, then you're going to go through another one.
Correct.
And are you going to be having security at the airport on May 7th?
Most definitely. At that point, believe me, and I will say, we have a partnership with both ALEA and also the Birmingham Charlesworth Airport Authority and other airport authorities throughout the nation, and also their local law enforcement. We're going to have a staunch security presence at the airport. We're going to ensure that we have roving patrols. We also have air marshal presence. We're going to have a lot of different presence that's going to be out in front of the checkpoint and also behind the scenes to ensure that we have a safe and secure environment. TSA is well aware that this is going to cause stress. We are well aware that the passengers are going to have a high anxiety level. We are most definitely aware of that. We're also going through steps to ensure that we have additional training for our screeners. We're making sure that customer service is going to be at the top of the list, but please, for the traveling public, understand that security is our top priority at this point. We're going to do our absolute best to make this as seamless as possible, but we're really trying to get out the word to the traveling public to come early.
I've had my star ID for like probably y'all first told us to do. Did this deadline just pop up, or was it set years ago?
This requirement was actually in place for Alabama. We've started rolling out Real ID since 2012. So we're talking about a deadline or a requirement that's been kind of rolled along for quite some time. Certain agencies have taken over the initiative of Real ID. It's kind of been handed down to some different agencies. But we're talking about 2012. So at this point in time, TSA is no longer going to extend the requirement. The requirement will stand at May 7th, and there will be no delay for that requirement.
What if someone doesn't have a real ID, but they have their passport?
If an individual approaches the queue line and they do not have a real ID and they're able to present a passport, global entry card, even a passport card, or active military ID, or another form of identification that we do accept, again, that can be found on TSA.realid or TSA/realid. If you can go online, there is a longer list of individual IDs that you can use. If you're able to show that, you got the green light, you'll move forward as with the rest.
However,
If you don't, you are going to be subject to additional screening. You'll be corralled to a different lane. Now, I also want to make sure that the public also knows that CLEAR, the Registered Traveler Program CLEAR, and PreCheck is also grouped in to this requirement. If you show up to a PreCheck lane and you show up to a CLEAR lane and you do not have the real ID, you will be mitigated and put to a different lane.
but it's very possible that you could be denied.
There is a possibility that you can be denied entry into the checkpoint. Any other questions or concerns for TSA? No? Thank you, everyone.
Hi, my name is Sari Kosha. It's S-A-R-I. Koshetz. I'm a spokesperson for TSA out of headquarters in Washington, and I just wanted to give you some travel tips based on the items that you see on the table next to me. Each one of those items was intercepted by our officers at this local checkpoint, and none of those items could be in your carry-on bag. So I just wanted to remind you, with summer travel season coming up, and perhaps you won't use this B-roll today, but save it please, because it'll be very helpful if you can do travel pieces in a few weeks or even in a month. And I won't be back here then, so if you can save this, that would be very helpful. So if you come to the checkpoint with an item that's prohibited, and one way to base that is to think, if I don't want the passenger sitting next to me to have that item on the plane, then I should not be bringing that item to the checkpoint. So the first travel tip is know what is inside your bag, and that includes even in your check bags, because anything that's flammable, corrosive, or explosive cannot go on the plane at all. It cannot be even in your check bag. You should also know what the firearm laws are. If you want to travel with your firearm, it must be in your checked bag, it must be unloaded, in a hard-sided, locked case, and declared to the airline when you get here in order to have it checked. So keep that in mind, because dozens of people every year bring a firearm to a TSA checkpoint, and then they face possible arrest and civil penalties from the TSA. They will also likely lose their pre-check privileges for a long period of time. So keep that in mind, and you need to know what the law is on each side of your trip, because even though you might be able to leave here with your firearm in your check bag, you might not be allowed to possess it on the other side of your trip. So when you go back to check in at that side of the trip, there could be a problem there. So I just want to talk about some of these items. So is it better that I walk back there? Okay. Okay, so this is kind of an obvious one. It's a mallet, it's very heavy, and why somebody needed this in their carry-on, we don't know, but they may not have it in their carry-on bag. They could have gone back to the ticket counter and asked the airline to put this into their check bag if there was time, or they could have taken their carry-on bag and checked their carry-on bag, and then they would have been able to continue to possess this on the other side of their trip. Okay. So some of these are pretty obvious sporting equipment. So there's a golf club on the table, cue stick. You can't have these in your carry-on bag because you could really injure another passenger with it. This is an example of mace. You can't have mace in your carry-on bag, and you can't have torch lighters in your carry-on bag. Okay, anything that's a knife, any form of knife, whether it's a switchblade, a throwing star, any kind of a knife, you should not have that in your carry-on bag, or your bag will be pulled aside for additional screening, and you will either have to go back to your car if you drove here and your car's in the garage, or you will need to abandon it. So all of these items on the table, we consider these abandoned items. So on jargon, we don't confiscate the item. We ask you to go back out and check the bag, or to go back to your car and place the item in your car. So if someone chooses not to, or they didn't leave themselves enough time to do that, then we consider that they abandoned it to the TSA. So our officers are very well trained to find threats that may be hidden in an everyday item. So, okay. Is that okay? Do you need to fix it? Okay. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. Our officers are very well trained to find items that could be threats that are hidden inside an everyday item. So you might say, as a comb, why is TSA stopping my bag for a comb? Well, this is why. All right. So we train our officers to look inside every item. Remember, we have x-ray machines, we have CT machines. If there's a threat hidden inside an ordinary item, we're going to find it. Here's another example. When it's closed, it looks like a simple key, and we've opened it here to show you that inside that key is a knife. So we find knives inside keys, inside pens. Our staff is there to save your life and to protect you every day. Do you have any questions on, in general, prohibited versus not? Okay. You can also ask TSA in real time on Facebook Messenger or on X at Ask TSA. Let me do that again in case you want to use it. So if you have a question in real time, you're leaving for the airport, you're not sure if you can bring something in your carry-on, you can go to X at Ask TSA, or you can go to Facebook Messenger and you can ask us in real time whether you can bring that on the plane. Okay, Sari, S-A-R-I, Koshetz, K-O-S-H-E-T-Z. And thank you all for coming. It was great to have you all here. Any further questions? Or
We have Cheryl one more question.
Sure.
It's been so long since they rolled this out. Can you just summarize for us the reason for the real ID?
The reason for the Real ID? Sure, no
It's been a
problem.
while since it was first introduced.
Great question. Reason for the Real ID. The Real ID was established by Congress in response to the 9/11 Commission. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to add an additional security feature to your driver's license, an additional security feature to the ID to subvert any type of fraud, to ensure that there's no subversion to that ID, to make sure that it is the most secured ID available. Good. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Rock on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for today. Again, thank you, Birmingham Airport Authority, for allowing us to provide this communication and conference. Again, thank you for the partnership with Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. Thank you.